Imagine waking up and realizing that half the personality traits you are most proud of, being the reliable one or the constant peacekeeper.
Right, the relentless fixer.
Exactly. Realizing those aren't actually your personality at all. They're just survival tactics you totally forgot to turn off.
Oh, yeah.
So, welcome to today's deep dive. We've got this really thought-provoking essay for you today by Orrie Karim, and it's titled Becoming Free in Midlife. Karim has this fascinating background in both psychology and divinity.
Which really gives her this incredible dual lens on aging.
It really does. So our mission for you today is to reframe midlife, not as a decline, but as a deliberate release of absolutely everything you no longer need to carry.
And what stands out immediately is that this release, it doesn't arrive like some loud, triumphant celebration. Karim describes it as a really quiet internal decision.
Yeah.
It's the moment you finally stop negotiating with things that cost you your peace. But to get there, her psychological training points out that we first have to recognize what is actually exhausting us.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because she argues that for most of our early adulthood, we are stuck in this relentless performance mode.
Oh, absolutely.
We are performing strength and stability, even when the reality underneath is just incredibly heavy. We constantly ask, what do they expect from me? Instead of, what is actually true for me?
Right.
I mean, think of those survival identities we adopt, like the chronic fixer. It's like wearing a heavy insulated winter coat in a literal blizzard of, say, a chaotic childhood or a high-stakes early career. That coat is life-saving.
Yeah, you meet it.
But eventually the storm passes and you're just sweating in the summer of your life.
Which is where the psychological mechanism becomes so interesting. Taking off a coat you've worn for 20 years is terrifying.
Yeah.
Your nervous system has literally forgotten how to regulate its own temperature without it.
Oh, wow, yeah. That makes so much sense.
Your brain equates that heavy coat of expectations with safety. So taking it off feels dangerous. But when you do finally shed it, you uncover the foundation of this new stage, which is emotional freedom. Karim defines this as a shift from reflexively reacting to others to a state of calm awareness.
I hear that, but I mean, practically speaking, shedding that coat and reallocating your energy away from a needy family member or a demanding boss, it's going to ruffle feathers.
It always does.
Right. If you stop being the designated peacekeeper and start putting up all these boundaries, isn't there a real risk of just isolating yourself? Like, you might be at peace, but you'll be entirely alone.
That is the natural fear. And what's fascinating here is how Karim's background in divinity comes into play. She reframes the very concept of a boundary.
Okay, how so?
Well, boundaries aren't defensive walls designed to keep people out. They are architecture.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, they are the structural, load-bearing pillars of what you will and won't carry anymore. It's not about rejecting people. It's about moving from obligation-based living.
The constant, I should do this trap.
Exactly. Moving from that to alignment-based living.
Okay, so if you're listening to this thinking, I can't just drop my obligations, I have a mortgage and kids who rely on me, what does an alignment-based Tuesday morning actually look like compared to an obligation-based one? Like, let's ground that concept.
That's a great distinction, because Karim isn't telling you to abandon your dependence. She separates true responsibility from assumed emotional labor.
Right.
So an obligation-based Tuesday morning means you're managing your kids' schedules while also agonizing over your coworker's bad mood and trying to fix it.
While an alignment-based Tuesday means you still pack the lunches, but you mentally leave your coworker's mood at their desk.
Yes, you stop absorbing other people's emotional weather as your personal responsibility.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Establishing that architecture feels terrible at first, and Karim doesn't shy away from that.
No, she doesn't.
If boundaries are just architecture, why does building them feel so awful? She says clarity actually demands discomfort before it ever brings peace.
Because clarity forces you to see the reality of your environment. Once you clearly define your psychological boundaries, you suddenly illuminate all the, one-sided relationships and draining habits that were feeding off your lack of boundaries.
And once those imbalances become visible, you simply cannot unsee them.
No, you really can't.
That's when time becomes intensely intentional. You realize that time spent betraying yourself to appease others isn't harmless. It's actively draining your life force. At this stage, your own peace finally becomes infinitely more valuable than a room full of approval.
It's a profound internal pivot. You stop asking for permission to be yourself, and you stop waiting for consensus before making a decision.
So to bring it all together for you, midlife doesn't end you. It simply removes what was never really you in the first place.
And that resulting freedom is not chaos. It is structured intentionality. You're building daily routines and deliberate choices that actively center your well-being.
You are finally stepping out of the blizzard and leaving the coat behind. So, we want to leave you with this one final thought to ponder today. If you stripped away every single assigned survival role you currently play, what is the very first boundary your newly uncovered self would set tomorrow morning?